So I wanted to do something very, very different for this video, have a completely different opening and have a different just way of going about this. And I want to talk about how to ruin a Pirates of the Caribbean film and how Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides did that. So kind of a deep dive into this film. If you guys have been watching, which I know some of you guys have been watching me for years, and by the way, I greatly appreciate it, you'll know that I've had very mixed thoughts on Pirates 4. I love this series to death, the entire, the 5 films. I actually like 5, I think, more than probably 98% of the population that saw it. I really think that's true. And Pirates 4, I feel like maybe actually is kind of the reverse of that, where I really don't like this film, right? We've talked about that many, many times, and how I think actually some people really do like it, so let me say this in the beginning. I do completely respect that. I think that's totally cool. I'm a person and a channel that is willing to hear out and accept both trains of thought. I think that makes me pretty different than most. And by the way, this isn't necessarily a review, but I want to talk about where I would say this movie went the most wrong, or why literally it ruined Pirates of the Caribbean in this one. Did it ruin Pirates of the Caribbean? Probably in general, because of what happened in 5 and now what's going on right now. I mean, you could look at this as the death of Pirates of the Caribbean. That's another way of thinking about it. But look, I would say there's a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to put any of them on Johnny Depp or even Jack Sparrow, but one of the reasons is that Jack is the main character, okay? And we talked about this before. You do not make Jack your main character. He always works best when he's not in the front and center. You could argue he's pretty up front and center in Pirates 3, maybe even in Pirates 2, but again, it is about him. Every movie, all 5, okay, had the main plot or the main trinket they're going after or the main villain or whatever always has a tie to Jack, and that's fine, and that's how it's always been. And if they make a 6 and they do a farewell to him, even if he's like the most supporting role he's ever been in his life, or even in Pirates, I would still 100% expect where the story is going, the villain, the motivation, whatever, is because of Jack, okay? That's how these movies work. When he's not in them, obviously that'll change, but that's the whole purpose. That's fine, and that's in Pirates 4 as well, right? With Angelica, with Blackbeard, with the Fountain of Youth, with Barbossa. Everything ties to Jack. Now, that is maybe where we start to get some of the breakage, right? Because you have had, in a lot of these movies, that not happen. The main thing is tied to Jack, but there's a lot of other things that are not tied to, especially like Pirates 3, right? With Bootstrap and to a lesser extent even Davy Jones, really connected to Will, okay? The pirate lords and eventually becoming the pirate king of Elizabeth. That is a big connection to her, okay? Even Barbossa and Tia, like that connection right there. You look at Pirates 5, a lot of stuff is Karina and Barbossa, okay? A lot of stuff is Henry, and he's, Jack's tied with Henry. You could even think about it like that too, okay? But Pirates 4 does it differently. Pirates 4 puts Jack in pretty much every single, yes, there are scenes without him, but he is the main character of Pirates 4, and that is a major mistake. Does he do well? Yeah, I've actually gone on record saying it's one of my favorite portrayals of, we all know Pirates 5 is the worst, okay? A lot of people look to Pirates 1 as the best. I have never done that. I've always looked at Pirates 3 as the best Jack Sparrow. I would put Pirates 4 right up there. Not as good, but I would put it right up there with, he does an incredible job. He's got, again, the kind of wittiness. He's still smart. He still has he still feels something, which he loses almost entirely, I would say 99% in Pirates 5. Okay, it's one of the main reasons I didn't like him in Pirates 5. Pirates 3 really showed his humanity, showed that he does care, showed that he does have connections to these people and emotions and all that stuff. He does hide it for a lot of it, but he can show it, okay? And Pirates 4 still does that, but the rest of it is putting way too much on Jack. You need everybody else. And that leads to the next thing. The supporting cast was just not nearly, and we can include the villain there, was not nearly good enough, okay? Philip, Serena, Angelica, all of these, all Blackbeard, none of them, Scrum, we can keep going down the list. None of them were, I would even say, good, okay? Now, are they all good actors or actresses? Yeah, actually, if you just look at the cast, like if you just look at their names, you'd say, holy Jesus, how could this not have been something incredible? But in reality, you just, nothing really came together. The relationship between Philip and Serena just never went anywhere good, right? It wasn't detailed enough. It wasn't built out well enough. They were just not the most likable characters in the world. Scrum was a pretty poor, replacement for, Pintel and Rigetti, which just flat out did not work. Blackbeard, I mean, okay, going after Davy Jones is tough. In fact, I don't think any villain could have done it, but Blackbeard absolutely did not. Now, again, he's a really great actor, but Blackbeard just wasn't menacing in the slightest. Obviously they tried to do things to make him menacing, but it just wasn't nearly up to par with what we had seen even if you want to go back, again, I've ranked these movies. I don't think Pirates 1 is the best movie, in my opinion. It's not my favorite one. But, I mean, you look back at, Barbossa as the villain of that. I mean, he is spectacular. I mean, he's amazing. And then you have Davy Jones in 2 and 3, and even Beckett, who, is very kind of terrorizing in his own way, okay? And they're fantastic. And then you have Blackbeard, and and then you have Salazar in 5, and that is, that's probably even on par with Blackbeard. The villains have not been good ever since Davy Jones. We can at least say that, right? So that, in Angelica, we've made videos actually specifically talking about Angelica, giving Jack a love interest, like a very clear and specific love interest, not the same as like Elizabeth or what they've done in the past. Just, again, did not work. I do not like Angelica. The whole idea that she falls for her father's trap in terms of like his mind games when they make no sense. People have said it before, like, you can be blinded by love, and not even like a romantic kind, but like, he's her father. So you can't understand why maybe she'd be willing to let some things slide. But I mean, he is openly and honestly an evil person, and he does thing after thing after thing to prove that to her, and she's just so stupid. And I'm sorry to throw it out there, but she's just so dumb that she falls for it. Again, yeah, you'd be willing to do that, but I feel like even if it's you or me and your parent, they just do terrible thing after terrible thing. I mean, yeah, are you still going to love them as a parent? Yes, okay. Maybe some people actually wouldn't, but, you would say. And then, but you would probably have like a talk with them, or you'd probably be like, okay, well, I love them and I'm happy for what they did, but, I don't really trust them with like some of these key situations. And she does the exact opposite. She says, well, there's just what has he done that's been bad? And then you list 500 things, and she says, yeah, but what else? I mean, he's done nothing, you know what I mean? And so she literally out, in one ear, out the other. So that is the main issue. I would say the final thing. I mean, by the way, there's a lot of good things. We're obviously not talking about that in this video, but there are a lot of good things in Pirates 4. I don't think it's the worst movie ever made. I don't think every single scene is terrible. Like I said, Jack is very good. Every scene with Barbossa in it is good. Every scene with Jack and Barbossa in it is very, very good, like elite level good. So there are a lot of good things. I don't want people to because if this is the first time you're seeing, my channel, you may be saying, wow, you despise Pirates. In reality, that's the most laughable statement I could ever hear in my life, because go back and look at what I've done for Pirates of the Caribbean and then come back. But the final thing is the stakes. The stakes, and I would even say like just how big this movie is. This movie was expensive to make, okay? Was it as expensive as Pirates 3? No. But this movie just couldn't, in my mind, could never have lived up. Even at the time that I saw it, I liked it. I liked it when I saw it. But, since then, it's obviously gone downhill. But when this movie was leading into itself, it was like, can it really take it another step further from At World's End? I know a lot of people don't like At World's End, and I know a lot of like general movie. I think a lot of Pirates fans love At World's End. Maybe it's not their favorite, but it's definitely like up there. I think non-Pirates fans, just moviegoers, probably despise that film, just think it's a bad film. I mean, we can all have disagreements, it's fine. But in a Pirates world, how do you top what you did with At World's End? There's no way. In my mind, there's 0% chance that you're ever going, and even right now with like a Pirates 6, let's say, there's a 0% chance you can top it. Pirates 4 absolutely did not top it. Okay, On Stranger Tides did not top it, because that film didn't have the stakes, didn't have the set pieces. I mean, a lot of stuff happened. The budget wasn't as high. Remember, there was like that hurricane which destroyed the real-life model of the Black Pearl, so they couldn't even have the goddamn boat in the, They couldn't even have the boat in the movie. They had to put it in a bottle, okay, which was very annoying and very stupid. But there were obviously a lot of issues, and again, not having Will, not having Elizabeth. I mean, you lose quite a bit of your I would say you lose like 50%. You lose Will, Elizabeth, Pintel, Rigetti, and a couple others, okay? And then you even, not having Davy Jones and Beckett, you've lost over 50%. You're only bringing back Jack, Barbossa, and like Gibbs for the most part, okay? So, I mean, that's a big issue, and that's going to hurt your film just automatically because you're not bringing back most of the core group. But then again, you surround them with everything else, and the stakes just are not high. The Fountain of Youth is not as like tantalizing as what we've seen in the past films. Blackbeard is nowhere near as menacing or as powerful in my mind, and I think a lot as Davy Jones. You know what I mean? There's no Maelstrom comparison scene in this movie. In fact, there are 0 ship battles at all in this movie compared to what we got with Pirates 3, in which was a ton of ship battles, sword fighting. I mean, you have Imposter Jack, Angelica versus Jack, which you can clearly tell they're all like stunt people. I mean, it's a cool fight, and it's very reminiscent, obviously, of Pirates 1. They did that on purpose, but I don't know. That's pretty much it. And then there's a couple other scenes, right? Even like the mermaid catching scene is a little bit higher action. I guess you have Jack and Barbossa like invading to get like the chalice, right? There's some, and then the Fountain of Youth fight is good. That's definitely a very, very good fight, and that's something I can't take away from this film. But again, it's one fight, and you go back to Pirates 2 with like the wheel with Beckett and Will and Jack. You go to Pirates 3 with like the 500 sword fights they have in that film, and they're all very big, again, very like high action, and they're amazing. And you just don't have that in this film. Because I've seen different things. I haven't watched it, but I know there's a channel like Filmento, and they did a video on how this was like the title was like it's an imposter Pirates of the Caribbean film. I mean, yeah, I think it's like, and we've said it even on this channel before, it's like a spin-off. It's a spin-off movie, which is not, you know what I mean? Like there's spin-off shows, there's sometimes spin-off games. A spin-off movie doesn't exactly work, especially, but the main reason why it doesn't work, and here's the reason, is because it's not actually a spin-off. It's the next movie in a massive billions and billions of dollars franchise. That's what this movie is. But it acts and it treats itself as if it's a spin-off adventure. It hurts even more when you have Pirates 5 and you have none of the returning, supporting cast. They completely redo it, which was actually a good choice. And the only thing they had to have to still like recognize and be okay with is the fact that the Black Pearl is still in a bottle and that Barbossa has a leg missing. That's the only two things they have to worry about from the entire story of Pirates 4. And that's fine. You know what I mean? And I think actually Pirates 5 did a pretty good job at both of those things. But the issue is when you have when you have the movie before it, okay, and then you don't actually like take steps in the right direction, and then the movie after you literally pretends like you basically didn't even happen except for two things, which are not even all that big and are they are big, but they're very easily like rectified, like they get over it very, very quickly. When that happens, your movie was unnecessary. And that's the biggest thing with Pirates 4 is it the worst movie in the world? No. It's definitely the worst Pirates movie, and it's kind of the worst Pirates movie because it just didn't need to go this way. It didn't need to happen. It's unnecessary. It feels like a side quest. You could think about it like that too. Feels like a side quest. Feels like something like meaningless that didn't actually need to be there and can be moved very quickly on from later. You know what I mean? And you put all those things together, and this is how you do it. This is how you make a bad Pirates of the Caribbean movie. You could argue Pirates 5, is bad in its own right. I would disagree, but I would understand. Okay, I have my own issues with Pirates 5 as well. But Pirates 4, yeah, it's just this was still coming off of a high. Because remember, Pirates 2 and 3 did incredible. Okay, and Pirates of the Caribbean was never bigger than back then. And Pirates 4, another thing to think about in terms of how to not do it the right way, is it made a lot of money. It made over $1 billion. It made more than Pirates 3. And yet, you look at what's happened since then, you would have thought that movie made like $200 million because because everybody had a bad taste in their mouth afterwards. And it's actually pretty darn, I would say, rare that a movie like that could do so much, they can do so well in the box office, and then everything that happened afterwards, basically because those numbers were kind of like phantom numbers. They made a lot of money. They made their money back. They made themselves hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they should feel good about that. But in the meantime, it didn't really mean anything long-term. They kind of sacrificed, short-term success, and they sacrificed the long-term growth, and that's, I think, what's happened. So, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Pirates 4? Do you think, what are some of the key things you think they maybe missed out or did wrong in this film? Let me know. If you guys liked this kind of video, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you have the bell icon turned on. Obviously, I'm going to be continuing doing more Pirates of the Caribbean, more Johnny Depp content as the weeks go on. Just felt like this would be a cool kind of different video. I had fun with it. Hopefully you guys did too. And I hope to see you all on the next video.